Multi-asset investing is a whole universe. There are so many ways to be a multi-asset investor today, and multi-asset products have so many avatars that they've taken on. Each asset gives us the opportunity to participate and become a winning investor. If you would like to know which asset is going to fire when, join us as we journey through the multiverse.
On the benefit side.
So this is like, government is very happy bringing a law against landlords because they'll hurt 100 landlords and some 10,000 tenants will be happy. Right? One landlord is one vote, one tenant is one vote. If one landlord has 5 houses, they're getting 5 votes and they're losing out only on one vote. So this is the logic again for a magazine or anybody to say why this is good, because the readership, it is assumed that the MFD or the distributor is to the investing population. Let us say it is to 100. 100 people want to hear that you can do this by reducing your cost. So the conclusion is already made. Therefore, direct option is better than regular option. That is written, that is typed, maybe printed also, and then they fill up the case for direct up, and they could write anything. Now, typically, if you take a focused fund or you take an opportunity fund, there has to be timing as to when you want to enter, when you want to exit. Largely, if you are extremely worried about cost, stick to an index fund. Then don't have withdrawal symptoms saying, oh, that fund is doing better, this fund is doing better. That you should control. If you can't control that, go through an advisor. If you think you can control and you will outperform the others, or you say, I don't even care whether I outperform the others. I will do a 20,000 per month SIP in an index fund. Maybe I'll get 12% return, 11% return. I don't care what is the relative return which I could have got. This much, if I get absolute return, I'm very happy. Then maybe yes, but people are not so clear about what they want. So they want the advisor services without paying for the advisor.
How is that possible? Regulation doesn't ask you to do that. You are not supposed to do that on TV.
No, what happens is there are enough people on social media giving advice.
But they are not regulated.
They are not regulated. Television channels and all of them are not regulated. So they can say, I think you should put money in a multi-asset fund or something like that, sponsored by XYZ mutual fund. Who has got a multi-asset fund NFO coming? We see that happening.
I find it very strange. See, the point is, you have created such a fantastic ecosystem, 16,000 crores SIP today. It's gone up multifold from what it was a decade ago. You could have improved the distribution system, the cost structures, the compliance requirements, the interest alignment, everything was just wanting incremental change. When there was only need for incremental change, what we did is we uprooted the tree and planted another tree, saying that this tree is better than the old tree. In that sense, I am talking about the investor faith. In one tree, you removed it and you planted another tree. And today the tree, whether it is yielding or not itself for the investor, nobody is measuring. It's so convenient, right? If you are an advisor, you don't make return. Somebody will come and ask you. They'll say, what the hell, you're not done well. You're not even beaten the index. Somebody will come and ask you. You will be answerable. Here, after this so-called transformation, the amount of losing investors in the direct option is not even measured. Nobody knows how many people are losing, how many people are beating the index, how many are dropping out. No measurement, nothing. Data is not given, nothing. And the platforms which give out so much of data on how many people lost money in Yes Bank won't say this on the mutual fund for whatever reason.
See, again, like I said, it is nice to say, therefore, if you do this, you don't need the middleman. The middleman is hated everywhere. Whether you consider housebroking or you consider anywhere, people don't like to deal with the middleman because they think he's not adding any value.
So, I have a more important point to make on this. When you wanted distributors in the early 90s for mutual funds, you told him that you are an advisor. You allowed him to call himself an advisor. Without your permission, he could not have called himself an advisor. You did not set rigid high standards on how that advice should be delivered, how interest alignment should be captured. The bar was low, let's accept. You recognize that you need to raise that bar. You are angry that he has not lived up to certain expectations. Whose expectation is very ambiguous because no one has set that expectation adequately for him earlier. And he has not lived up to what is fair expectation in some areas. Let's not beat around the bush, it's a fact. Instead of improving the expectation setting, he bulldozed him, said, don't call yourself an advisor. You are not an advisor today. Okay? It's like saying that you are angry with your family member and you say, don't address me by our relationship. So you change the relationship itself and you say, okay, you are only distributor. Have you stopped giving incidental advice? Have you stopped them? Not yet. So that's not happening. Have you created a breed of advisors who are capable of talking on mutual funds by telling them buy this mutual fund of ABC AMC because it's got a classy portfolio, its risk management is like this, these are the metrics that I have calculated and I am saying that on these metrics this is a superior one. There is no such data. The quality of information which is brought to the table by a good MFD is probably as good as or better than what an RIA brings to the table. There is no difference. But you tell the MFD, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And the RIA, there aren't enough people to do what has to be done for the investor. So what has happened is, I have seen the last 2-3 years, a lot of misbuying has happened in mutual funds. So you see how the swelling of assets happened in small cap. I'll give you more examples. Swelling of assets in pharma in 2021, lot in direct, swelling in IT subsequently. Again, I saw one fund going from, tech fund going from 2,000 to 10,000 crores. Hey, what happened? No sir, people are coming to office and dumping money on us. This is what the AMC says. It's not sold. So this kind of mis-selling, okay, this buying if you choose to call it that way, has no accountability, absolutely zero accountability. Because the investor is doing it on his own. He is not doing justice to himself. So we replace one system with another system, which in my opinion is working worse than the earlier system. The choice before us is improve the earlier system, demand more out of it, and try and ground up build the new system, which I'm on the way it's going to take decades.
I really don't know whether SEBI has said very clearly what an MFD should do and what he should not do. I think it is not for SEBI to decide the relationship a person has with another one, because it is the client who decides. The client will ask and say, which fund should I invest? Can you imagine saying, I am your distributor, I will only give you the firm. Even a shopkeeper, when you go and ask for Bonvita, he'll say, sir, we have, Boost is also there, we have chocolate Horlicks also, do you want to try? He will ask, it is not that he is recommending. He will say, do you know that these things exist? If you ask for Campos, he'll say, sorry, but you have to get a prescription. I can understand Campos needing a prescription, but in the mutual fund industry, to think, or SEBI thinks that such a thing can be legislated and implemented, I think they are living in some paradise. It is not going to happen. What has happened instead is we have maybe 130,000 people who have passed the AMFI exam for becoming a distributor. If you take that, the older people are there. They have created the AUM, they are getting money, but your ability to attract talent is zero. The only talent you are attracting is people who are quitting banks and joining, sorry, and becoming a IFA themselves or MFD themselves. Other than that, the 23-year-old boy who is passing out on his MBA would rather take up a job in a mutual fund rather than go with this kind of uncertainty. So people, the young guy is not coming. It would be very interesting to do an analysis and see how much of the AUM is with MFDs above the age of 50 or 55.
See, this AUM based obsession that, oh, they are paying fees based on AUM, it's being paid for the past work done, the fees are very high, whatever. There are a lot of debates on these things. If there is a problem with fees, you should address the fee issue. Service delivery is something which should not be connected to the fee. You should maintain the high standards of service delivery, and if you feel something has to be done on fee, can be done, should be done also. There is no argument about that. But today, as I see it, in the mutual fund industry, somebody who only gives transaction to the client, which is the platform, first we will start with them, is making a lot of money on a service which is not even needed to invest in a mutual fund, which is a demat account, right? The customer doesn't even realize that he has to pay for this, which he can do without. That's the first point. The second point is that every investor needs some incidental advice which a platform cannot give as per regulation. Investor has to have an advisor. Now investor is going to the informal advisory ecosystem of social media, picking up ideas and investing. At least earlier he had the MFD to whom he had paid a fee, had access, incurred a cost, everything. Who he can hold accountable? Today, who will he hold accountable? That's the question really on mutual fund. There is nobody.
I mean, I keep asking, can you hug your laptop and cry?
You can't.
When you've lost money, can you just hug your laptop and cry? You can't. So you need somebody to talk with. You need to sound out somebody, to listen to somebody, and then take action. The problem is, unfortunately, maybe the regulator also thinks that the MFD's job is to just pick the fund.
No, there is no picking. No, you are only doing it online. No.
No, I'm saying to think in the investment process. The only thing important is this.
So what will you tell the client?
No, I'm saying if you are a tech platform, are you doing a due diligence? Are you doing a risk profiling? Are you saying your risk profiling is wrong, so therefore these funds are not available to you? You're not doing any of that stuff.
In fact, you see, you must open an account and see what are the funds they're showing on their display window. You will be shocked. You will be shocked, and you will wonder what is the incentive to put this guy in front. It's like you have all these great cricketers and you pick up some fellow who is not as great as them, put him in the front window. Why? Out of form batsman in the...
Because mathematically that fund was the best last year.
5 years.
5 years or 4 years or whatever.
But not doing well for last 2 years. People have bought all the way down.
Yeah, then people believe that if you do an SIP, there is no risk. So you should keep on doing SIP. So all these things which, you take some facts from somewhere, you mix it and say, oh, this is the gospel of investing. I don't think it is, but yeah, it's happening.
Anyway, see, my thinking is that whatever we say is not going to be heard. I have no expectation on that count. But it's fairly clear and self-evident to me that the investor going on his own and investing 2,000, 3,000 in these platforms is not going to come out a winner. The system has no covenants or safeguards for him. It has lesser covenants and safeguards for him on the platform than it has in the MFD system. I want to make that point emphatically here.
No, I also feel that anybody who tells you don't go through a regular plan, come to a direct plan, is saying you will save so much money, so please buy my newsletter. You will save so much money, so please pay for demat charges. So if you say the overall cost for a guy putting 2,000 rupees through a demat account and subscribing to a 5,000 rupee newsletter, you look at his overall cost, he's paying much more than what he would pay to a MFD. If you see that, because the amount invested is very small. If you were investing 1 lakh per month, 5,000 rupee newsletter doesn't matter.
So on that note, the small investor is incurring costs which he doesn't need and doesn't know. The large investor is incurring costs on which he has no tangible benefit, and there is no way for him to measure before he incurs those costs. And when he measures, it could be too late. Time would have elapsed. And in all this, we are all believing that cost is the problem. Cost is not the problem. Quality of decision making is the problem today.
No, also I realize that the driver of a CIO or the driver of a CEO or the maid servant of a journalist are all getting some advice which may not be correct, but they're all getting some advice to invest, and they think this advice is free because I'm the maid in the so and so's house, and they had given me that advice. And many of these people are not competent to give advice. I know the CEO of one mutual fund who has ruined the portfolio of his friend, who came and showed me the portfolio. I said, he screwed you completely. So these things have happened. I mean, at the highest level, you're getting bad advice because that is not his job. It is not the job of the CIO to do a meeting and say, oh, you should all put money now in this fund. It's wrong. Is it appropriate? That is something which only the MFD knows, because only the MFD knows you. He is going to say, sir, don't do this because you already have that. He knows your portfolio. The CIO is selling something which he is doing, and there is no law saying the CIO and CEO should not give advice. They are giving advice.
This is a topic which can go on and on, but I would like to close this topic with one observation. If you are saving on cost, you should not lose on benefit. If you are saving on cost, make sure that the intended benefits are still the same or better. If you are not going to get the intended benefits by saving on cost, revisit your decision. You need help. Thank you for watching this video.